We're so glad you're with us. Did you know that the Department of Homeland Security is targeting? The Department of Homeland Security is targeting. Now, I'm going to say blank, and then you fill in the blank. The Department of Homeland Security is targeting blank. Now, what you would probably think that needs to go in the blank is the Department of Homeland Security is targeting terrorists. Wouldn't you think? The Department of Homeland Security targeting bad guys who want to kill us. That would go in the blank very nicely. Department of Homeland Security targeting probably Muslim terrorists. Well, and not trying to be, politically incorrect or racist here. We're just dealing with facts. I mean, who was it that flew into the Twin Towers in 9/11? It was Muslim terrorists. Okay, who was it that attacked the U.S. Embassy in Benghazi and killed our ambassador? Muslim terrorists. I mean, I can go down the line. You know why I would put that in there. The Department of Homeland Security is targeting blank. What would you put in there? Muslim terrorist, bad guys that want to kill us. Yeah, any of those would be fine, and you can probably think of other logical fill-in-the-blank answers. But here's the real answer. The Department of Homeland Security is literally targeting you, or people like you, or people like most of this listening audience. I'll explain in just a moment. They're targeting you. Now, I use the word target kind of with a double entendre because, of course, targeting means they're focusing in on you. Of course, they've got you in the crosshairs. But I also mean that the Department of Homeland Security has actually ordered at least 400,000 targets from a company that makes targets for firearm training. The Department of Homeland Security has ordered these targets to train its officers. Now remember, in the last 12 months, the Department of Homeland Security has ordered over 2 billion rounds of ammunition. 2 billion rounds. That number's so big that you probably can't really fathom. Let me give you what that is. During the height of the Gulf War, it is documented that our military troops, the U.S. military troops, the #1 superpower in the world, at the height of the Gulf War, we were using 5 million rounds of ammo a month. The Department of Homeland Security just ordered 2 billion rounds of ammunition, which means if the Department of Homeland Security conducted a war on American soil at the magnitude of the height of the Gulf War and used 5 million rounds a month, the Department of Homeland Security could fight with 2 billion rounds a 33-year war. They could fight for 400 months. Do the math. 2 billion rounds of ammo, 5 million a month were used by the #1 superpower in the world, U.S. troops, at the height of the Gulf War. So the Department of Homeland Security now has enough ammunition to fight a 33-year-long war using 5 million rounds a month. What does the Department of Homeland Security expect? Now, on top of that, they just ordered targets for their officers to practice upon. And what are the targets? Well, you would expect, fill in the blank. What are the targets? What do the targets look like? Well, you'd think maybe a little bullseye target. Oh, no. Law enforcement officers, they train with more realistic targets. I used to be a law enforcement officer. I was a deputy sheriff in 2 different Florida counties. Many of you know that. I went through the firearms training. In fact, I instructed firearms training for a couple of terms at the Madison Police Academy, Madison, Florida. This was many, many moons ago, but I did. So I understand law enforcement. I understand firearms, and I understand law enforcement with firearms. Okay? So what are the targets that Homeland Security has ordered? They've ordered targets with images of pregnant women, farmers with a shotgun, an old man in his home, an old woman in her home, a young school-aged girl, a young mother on a playground, and a little boy. Did you hear what? Those are the targets that Department of Homeland Security are going to be shooting at targets of American citizens. Pregnant women, a little girl on a playground, a little boy, a farmer, an old woman, a young mother. That's the targets that our Department of Homeland Security are practicing upon. They're targeting us. And they have 2 billion rounds of ammunition, enough to fight 33 years at Gulf War intensity. What's Department of Homeland Security prepared for? Oh, by the way, all of these targets are of white people. Just thought you might want to know that. I'm not trying to make anything racist out of it. I mean, if there were some black people in there and some Asian people in there, you know, I mean, some Muslim people, you know, I could stomach it a little bit better. But white pregnant women, white older men, white moms on playgrounds, little white girls and little white boys, DHS officers are going to be shooting at them. Can you imagine? I mean, my world-famous producer sitting in here, Mallory, she likes guns. She can shoot guns as well as any man around here. If I said to Mallory, hey, when I get off, let's go to my pistol range. I have a pistol range at the house. I said, Mallory, let's go to the pistol range. You say, okay, Carl, what are we going to shoot at? 10 cans? I said, oh, no. I've got some targets of some little black children. We're going to be shooting at those. I've got some targets of some little Asian children. We're going to put the little Asian children up and some pregnant women, some pregnant black ladies, some pregnant Asian ladies. Mallory, let's go to my house and let's blow their heads off. Let's just shoot them up. See? It'd be in the headlines of the newspaper. Crazy radio host, crazy preacher. He finally loses it. Mallory's in here shaking her head like, Carl, I can't believe you would even think of that. Of course she couldn't. Of course I wouldn't. I would never dream of it. Folks, when I trained, and by the way, you know what this campaign is called? For training these officers, it's called No Hesitation. Now think of the name of the campaign. Don't even hesitate. Kill a woman. Kill the white woman that's pregnant. Kill the farmer that's don't hesitate. Shoot the little girl on the playground. Now listen to what the target company says. Hold on. I got to read you this. Where is it? It would appear. Okay, here it is. Okay, the law enforcement target's website, the people that sold them the targets, declares that these targets are, quote, listen to this, designed to give officers the experience of dealing with deadly force shooting scenarios with subjects that are not the norm. And they are meant to help transition the officers who are faced with these targets for the first time. That's right. For the first, they're preparing for a transition, folks. It sounds like the Department of Homeland Security, who's supposed to protect the homeland, it sounds like they're preparing to fight a war against Americans, particularly white Americans. Folks, I've been telling you for years, we're living in prophetic times.
We cannot continue to rely only on our military in order to achieve the national security objectives that we've set. We've got to have a civilian national security force. We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well funded.